Good morning, my dear students. So, yesterday in my video, I started with chapter number 12 of the NCERT book. And in this chapter, I have just covered two topics. What is the meaning of consumer protection? That's the name of the chapter, consumer protection. That is chapter number 12 of NCERT book or unit 12 of Dr. R.K. Singla. So I have covered what do you mean by consumer protection, and I told you that protecting or safeguarding the consumer from the unfair trade practices by the producers and sellers is known as consumer protection. Then I came over to the next topic. What are the examples of malpractices or unfair trade practices, or how can a consumer be exploited? So I've given you 5 points in that how a consumer can be exploited either by selling low quality goods, by misleading advertisement, by selling underweight goods, by creating scarcity of goods, or by hoarding the goods. These are the different ways in which a consumer can be exploited. Next topic which I covered was the examples of consumer exploitation in India, and I gave you 3 or 4 examples of how a consumer can be exploited in India, right? Then we moved on to the next topic, which I again covered. You can cover it from the NCERT book or you can cover it from Dr. R.K. Singla. What is the importance of consumer protection? And I told you that it's a very, very important topic from the examination point of view, and it has 2 sub points: that importance of consumer protection from consumers point of view and importance of consumer protection from the point of view of business. So these are the 2 topics, and this question definitely comes in the board examination under 3 marks. So this is a very important question. What is the importance of consumer protection from the point of view of the consumer, and what is the importance of consumer protection from the point of view of business? So you have to cover this topic either from your NCERT book or from Dr. R.K. Singla. Now today I am going to start with the next very important topic. As I've already told you that this chapter is very, very important from the board examination point of view, and 7 to 8 marks question short comes from this chapter alone. So I'm not going to go fast with the chapter. I'm going to go very, very slow so that each and every point is absolutely clear to you. Now, legal protection to consumers. Now, what are the provisions which are provided legally to protect the consumers? This is what we are going to study in this topic. So there are various provisions which are provided legally, which we also don't know as consumers, which help in protecting the consumers. So under Right to Information Act 2005 section 4, the Indian legal framework consists of a number of regulations which provide protection to consumers. As per the Right to Information Act 2005 section 4, all relevant information is required to be made available to all citizens of the country. So under Right to Information Act 2005, all the citizens of the country, all the information should be made available to all the citizens of the country. So various legal provisions or legal protection to consumers, there are various acts which are passed time to time to protect the consumers. Even this is going to enhance your knowledge. Even as a consumer, you can also protest against any bad thing. If any unfair trade practice is carried out with you, you can also even practice these laws, so which we are not aware of. So the first act and the very important act which we are going to cover in detail after covering this topic is the Consumer Protection Act 1986. So this is a very vast act, and this is a very important act. As it is, there are almost, you can say, as you can see in the book, there are 10 acts given under legal provisions, legal protection to consumers. But out of this, we are going to cover in detail the Consumer Protection Act 1986. So the Consumer Protection Act 1986 seeks to protect and promote the interests of the consumers. The Act provides or safeguards to consumers against defective goods, deficient goods, unfair trade practices, and other forms of their exploitation. This Act provides for the setting up of the three-tier machinery consisting of direct forum, state commission, and national commission. If your case is not solved at district level, you can go at state level. If your case is not solved at state level, then you can go at national level. So there is three-tier machinery under this Act. And it also provides for the formation of consumer protection councils in every district and state and at the apex level. So this is a very, very important act, that is the Consumer Protection Act 1986, and it provides protection to the consumers against any unfair trade practices. If you are given defective goods, if you are given deficient goods, if or any kind of exploitation, if it is carried on by the producer or the seller, this act provides protection against all the exploitations carried out against the consumer time to time by the producers and the sellers. And this follows three-tier machinery, like first at district level, then at state level, and then at national level. Now the second act is the Indian Contract Act 1872, lays down the conditions in which the promises made by parties to a contract will be binding on each other. The Act also specifies the remedies available to parties in case of breach of contract. So if there is a contract between the two parties, and if the contract is broken, then you can go and claim under Indian Contract Act 1872. Now the third act is the Sale of Goods Act 1930, and this act provides some safeguards and relief to the buyers of the goods in case the goods purchased do not comply with express or implied conditions or warranties. So if the buyer has bought some goods and they are not able to meet up the expressed means the written, or implied means which are not written but which are automatically understood, conditions or warranties, then the buyer can go and complain against the producer or the seller through the Sale of Goods Act 1930. Then the Essential Commodities Act 1955, and this act aims at controlling production, supply and distribution of essential commodities, checking inflationary trend in their prices, and ensuring equal distribution of essential commodities. The Act also provides of action against anti-social activities of profiteers, hoarders, and black marketers. So this Act basically acts against the people who hoard the goods, who stock the goods, who are black marketing the goods, or who are profiteers, means undue profits if charged by the producer or the sellers. If these type of activities are actually observed by the consumers, then he can go and complain under the Essential Commodities Act 1955. Now the fifth act is the Agricultural Produce Grading and Marketing Act 1937. The act prescribes grade standards for agricultural commodities and livestock products. The act stipulates the conditions which govern the use of standards and lays down the procedure for grading, marking, and packing of agricultural produce. The quality mark provided under the Act is known as AgMark, an acronym for agricultural marketing. So this Act provides how the agricultural products are to be packed, they have to be graded, and they have to be marked. So the quality mark provided under the Act is known as AgMark, an acronym for agricultural marketing. If the things, agricultural products, are not packed, graded, or marked according to this Act, then the consumer can go and complain under the Agricultural Produce Grading and Marking Act 1937. Then next is the Prevention of Food Adulteration Act 1954. The Act aims to check adulteration. I have already told you adulteration means mixing of food particles and ensure their purity so as to maintain public health. So if you find that there is adulteration in any of the goods, then you can go and complain under the Prevention of Food Adulteration Act 1954. The Standards of Weights and Measures Act 1976. The provisions of this act are applicable in case of those goods which are sold or distributed by weight, measure or number. It provides protection to consumers against the malpractice of underweight or undermeasure. If you find the goods to be underweight or undermeasure, you can go and complain under the Standard of Weights and Measures Act 1976. Now the eighth one is the Trademarks Act 1999. This act has replaced the Trade and Merchandise Marks Act 1958. The act prevents the use of fraudulent marks on products and thus provides protection to the consumers against such products. So if some goods are marked in a fraudulent way, means if some fraud is there in the marking of the goods, then you can go and appeal under Trades and Marks Act 1999. I know you people are also not aware as a consumer that there are so many acts which provide protection to the consumer. Sometimes you buy a good but you don't go and you find the goods are defective but you don't know how to pursue it. But actually you can pursue if you are being cheated by the producer or the seller. So don't get scared, don't bother, just go and complain under these acts, and this is the legal protection which is provided to the consumers. The Competition Act 2002, this act has replaced the Monopolies and Restrictive Trade Practices Act 1969. The act provides protection to the consumers in case of practices adopted by business firms which hamper competition in the market. So if there are certain practices which are adopted by business firms which bring hindrance in the competition in the market, then you can go and complain under the Competition Act 2002. Now the Bureau of Indian Standards Act 1986. The Bureau of Indian Standards has been set up under the Act. The Bureau has two major activities: formulation of quality standards for goods and their certification through the BIS certification scheme. Manufacturers are permitted to use the ISI mark on their products only after ensuring that the goods conform to the prescribed quality standards. So under this ISI mark, you are very much aware of the ISI mark. So ISI mark are only permitted to those manufacturers who ensure that the goods they are of the prescribed quality standards. The Bureau has also set up a grievance cell where consumers can make a complaint about the quality of products carrying the ISI mark. So all these acts come under legal, they provide legal protection to the consumer. If you find that the product is marked ISI but it does not comply to the quality of the quality which is to be prescribed, which is to be followed by the ISI products, so you can go and complain under the Bureau of Indian Standards Act 1986. So this is all under legal protection to consumers. All these 10 acts come under legal protection to consumers. But the most important act which we are going to cover in detail is the Consumer Protection Act 1986. So we are going to start with the Consumer Protection Act 1966, and one short question definitely comes from this act, that is the Consumer Protection Act 1986, which I am going to cover in my next video. So I hope you have understood the legal protection to consumers. There are 10 different acts, and out of which I have told you that the Consumer Protection Act 1986 is the most important, and we are going to cover this act in detail. So please watch the video twice, thrice, try to understand all the acts and make the notes side by side. Thank you and have a blissful day ahead.